Okay. So again, welcome. My name is Joe Deans. I am the founder of Capstone Management Consulting, and we kind of work with small businesses, focusing on the 5 Ps for business growth. And those 5 Ps consist of prospects, pursuits, proposals, processes, and performance. And then we also like to engage with small businesses, and we do that by partnering with organizations such as the Maryland PTAC, as well as through FedCon huddles that we hold throughout the year. And so today we're going to kind of focus on prospects. Let's focus on that P as we talk about how to prepare for these matchmaking events. And so what we're going to go through today is we're going to kind of talk about what is a matchmaking event, and then why is it so important to prep? And then we're going to talk about how do you develop those goals for the event, because you shouldn't go into the event with no plan of action. So we want to kind of talk about that. And then we'll go into the specifics in terms of the activities that are associated with matchmaking events. And then we'll go over some key takeaways and kind of summarize all the things that we talked about. So what is a matchmaking event? And so we're going to look at it from the perspective first of what we can get out of it, what opportunities are there for us as we attend these events. And so we have that synergy determination, and that's where we're looking at the needs of that particular agency and what you're selling. Is there synergy there? Are they open to working with small businesses? Are there specific socioeconomic designations such as 8A, woman-owned small business, economically disadvantaged woman-owned small businesses, and even veteran-owned small businesses? Are there, is there any openness to working with those types of companies? And then we want to look at it as a capture opportunity so that we can increase our win probability on current and upcoming opportunities. And so what we're doing here is we're identifying an opportunity and trying to talk to the specific customer reps to see, can they give us any information that may give us that leg up as we develop our proposals when that opportunity is released. And then it's also an awareness opportunity. You want to make the customer aware of your company and capabilities, aware of your experience and expertise. And you have a dedicated time slot to do that. And then you want to look at the alignment of capabilities to opportunities. And, every year the government on the federal side puts out a forecast of opportunities. And so you want to look at, are they going to be purchasing those particular capabilities or services that you are offering? So you want to drill down to specific ops and investigate those upcoming ops to determine if there is synergy there. Is there an alignment of capabilities to the pool of opportunities? And then last but not least, look at it as a networking opportunity. You want to build and nurture relationships, not only with the government or the customer reps that we have for each of the agencies, but you also want to look and see, who are your competitors? Are they there? Are there any prime contractors here that you may want to partner with? And are there potential preferred partners there that you want to work with and kind of build a relationship with them so you can form maybe a JV or a prime sub relationship as you pursue opportunities. So think of that event as a scan. You want to look at it from all of these perspectives. And they kind of use the speed dating format. You have about 10 minutes to present, as we talked about your dedicated time slot. And just be aware that these events can be virtual and or physical. And so if it's virtual, be sure that you are aware of that software platform that they're using, because you have 10 minutes and you don't want to use any of your 10 minutes getting ready and trying to figure out the software. When your time slot is up, you want to be able to go in, share your screen, and present your capabilities. And then if it's physical, arrive early, and you can do the same thing for virtual. You can arrive early and use that time to network with other companies and to potentially talk to customer reps who are actually free. And so, why is it so important for you to prep for these events? Number one, you want to kind of set your company apart. You don't want to go in with the same old spiel. I was established in 2000. I do this, and I have these socioeconomic designations. How can you all give me a contract? You don't want to do that. You want to set your company apart. You want to demonstrate that you understand that customer and show that you're motivated to support their needs. And then you kind of want to demonstrate, okay, I have an artificial intelligence arm in my company. That aligns to your initiative to implement more AI in this particular mission as you try to achieve that particular mission. So you want to demonstrate that your capabilities align to what they need. And then you also want to make a good impression and look prepared, because then they can see, well, this person actually spent time learning about us and how they could help us. With that kind of tenacity, if we give them a contract, can you imagine the work that they're going to do for us if they have a contract? And so that's, you want to make that good impression. And then you also want to bring that awareness. Hey, I'm here. If you're looking for SEVOSB, service disabled veteran owned small business, if you're looking for an 8A company, I'm here and I have the capabilities to do what you need. So you want to make sure that you're prepping so that you're hitting all of these items. And so when you're going into the events, try to set goals and think of it in this perspective. Think of it expectations. What do you hope to gain, to learn, or even share from this particular event? And then think about effort. What efforts are necessary to make this event beneficial to your company? What research do you have to do? What upfront prep are you going to have to do to prepare for this meeting? So you want to kind of get a feel on what effort is required so you can allocate time to do these activities. And then think about engagement. You know, how are you going to engage with the government reps? And as I said before, you're going to have some of your competitors there, and you're going to have maybe some prime contractors that's maybe looking for some small businesses for subcontracting opportunities. And then you're going to have that pool of potential companies that you could partner with on future opportunities to increase your win probability. So think about how you're going to engage with these particular attendees and what digital or physical collateral you're going to need to help you facilitate that. And then enhance. How will you enhance your particular contracts portfolio by attending the event? How will this event increase your ability to meet your business goals? And so you just don't want to attend an event for the sake of attending an event. You kind of want to have, okay, I have 3 opportunities that I'm looking at let's say FEMA. I'm going to research them. I'm going to look up some things. And when I get there, I want to say, when are these coming out? Can I still influence the acquisition strategy? Meaning, can we get it set aside for small business or one of the socioeconomic designations? So you want to have that goal to kind of enhance always your contracts portfolio. So when you're scheduling and registering to attend these events, register with agencies that will help you attain your business goals. So you wouldn't want to, let's say, if you were an IT company, you wouldn't want to go with facilities when they're looking for locksmiths, painters, electricians, because there's no synergy between your capabilities and what they need. And so you always have to keep in mind, how is attending this event going to enhance my contracts portfolio? How am I going to engage with the attendees? Because there are different types of attendees, audiences there. What effort am I going to have to put into getting ready for this event? And then what are my overall expectations? And so think of it from these perspectives, and it'll help you to better prepare. And so in terms of specific activities, I kind of break them down into 3 phases. So you have your pre-event where you're getting ready, your event, you're going, and the post-event after party. And so we're coming up on the holiday season. And so think of all of the Christmas events this year that you may have to attend. And so pre-event, you're getting ready, you're defining, okay, as a woman, we'll say, what dress am I going to wear? Or what outfit am I going to wear? You know, am I going to take a car? Am I going to drive there myself? Are we going to carpool? So you're getting ready and you're putting up all those logistical things that you have to consider to get ready for that event. And then you actually go to the event. You have a ball. You meet, so many different people. You have fun. You've talked to people in the company that you had never even met before. So the event was a success. And so post-event, that's kind of like the after party. You'll say, okay, so you went to this event and you met these people. What are you going to do, afterwards? Are you going to reach out to the new people or, what are you going to do? So there has to be some type of post-event follow-up to make sure that you have benefited from all the prep and your actual attendance at this event. And so we're going to look at it from these three phases. So let's talk about pre-event activities. So you're getting ready. So of course you're going to register for the event and you're going to make sure you complete all of the info that's a lot of times on the website, and make sure, I can't stress enough, that you're registering with agencies within the department that actually purchase what you sell. So that goes to the inventory, your capabilities. So make sure that you are not, think of that locksmith example. You're not going to an IT shop, but you're a locksmith, because there's no synergy there. So you want to make sure that you're actually registering for the agencies that actually purchase what you're selling and have a need for those capabilities that you have in your tool belt. And then just double check your registrations and certs. Go to SAM and make sure your profile is active. And with all the stuff going on with SAM, I can't stress that enough. Make sure you are checking and everything is good, because you don't want a contracting officer to come back and say, oh, your profile is inactive. That's hard to come back from right now until they get all the kinks worked out from the switchover. And so again, look at some of the agency-specific portals. DHS has a specific portal that you can go into to register to get information on pre-forecast opportunities. So make sure that you're registered in those portals, and look at your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that your personal and your company looks good, up to date. Maybe post something to show that you're active on it. And then research. Again, are they buying what you're selling? Make sure that there's that synergy, that connection there. Is there room for innovation? Because then you can kind of showcase. We have a center of excellence where we look at innovative possibilities across our projects, and we can apply them, to the projects as needed. Look at that competitive landscape. Know who the primes are for that particular agency. Know who your competitors are as well, because then you can better strategize on how you're going to network there. Are there people that you should avoid? Are there people that you should definitely try to engage with to build a relationship? Know their pain points and challenges. Are there any legislative mandates that's impacting them? So think of the IRS. They were hit with the Affordable Care Act years ago. That required a lot of work. And now they're currently being hit because they have so many tax returns, but they don't have the manpower to get them out in a timely fashion. And so be aware of those and present yourself as a mechanism to help them resolve those challenges. Look at some of the OIG and GAO findings. What are they saying about the agency? Look at their cyber security ratings. How are they faring in that area? And is there something that you can tie in to your capability statement that will show that you have a solution, you have a workaround to help them meet those cyber goals? Be aware of their mission, their vision, their strategy. Know the org structure and how the agencies all interplay with each other. And then again, identify those opportunities. How do the current and upcoming opportunities align with your capabilities? As well as how does it tie into the mission of that specific agency and the department as a whole? And then do some pre-networking. If they give you an attendees list, shoot out some emails. Hey, I'm going to be at this event. Would love to meet you. Would you like to schedule some time to meet? And you can also use that time to meet with, again, some of the primes and then some of the competitors, because you want to keep a pulse on your competitors, as well as potential partners, people that you want to partner with. And so these are some of the pre-event activities that you're doing to get ready for the event. And you have output from actually executing these activities. So you have your internal matchmaking strategic plan. So we're saying we're not just going to go to this matchmaking event without a plan. We want to get background information on the agencies that we've signed up to present to. Know what their pain points are, their challenges. Again, look at some of the OIG and GAO reports and kind of tailor your capability statement to kind of address those. Think of your goals. What are your expectations for the event? What's the effort? How will you engage? How will this enhance you meeting your business goals? Ops and capabilities. You want to look at opportunities and capabilities and align those to make sure that when you're going, you're not just going presenting a generic statement with no tie-in to that particular agency. We always want to make sure that we are presenting to the customer our capabilities and how it could help and benefit them. And then think about the relationships and develop a call plan. If you're looking at that org structure and you know that a program manager is in the Office of Information Technology, see if you can kind of engage with someone that's in that office and maybe get a follow-up meeting later. And then try to define metrics-based outcomes. And what that means is when you're attending these matchmaking events, say, you want to set goals. So say if you go and you say, okay, I want to meet at least 3 officials from these particular agencies. And then I want to meet 2 potential partners. So you want to have some kind of metric-based outcome to show if that matchmaking event was successful. So if I go to the event and my goal was to meet 3 people from, let's say, ICE, and I'm at 4, I've exceeded that goal. And so you could say, okay, this matchmaking event was successful for me. And so the next time that they have an event, I'm going to attend and I'm going to leverage what I've done previously at this event so that I can be successful at this upcoming event as well. So you want to make sure that you are challenging yourself and setting goals and not attending the event just to attend. Set some goals, some metrics-based outcomes, and that'll help you ascertain if that event was successful. And then the external outputs that you have will be your capability statement. And this is key because a lot of times you're going to leave this with that particular agency or you're going to email it to them. And so kind of think of it this way. You want to have one where it's generic and that's your overall, this is us, this is what we've done. And that's what I have here in this first box where you're giving them, you have your logo, your certs, basic company information, your NAICS codes, any contracting vehicles you have, your point of contact. Do a quick company narrative. What are your core capabilities? Put them there. And what have you done before? And who have you partnered with? And so you want to have that on your first page. And that's your generic capability statement. And so this statement, you may want to pass to the primes and potential partners because you want them to know who you are, what you do, what you've done, and who you've partnered with, and how they can get in touch with you to follow up. And so all of that information is on there. But then if you do a two-sided capability statement specific to that agency, you can say the first page is basically, this is what we do. And then the next page on the back here, where you see the CAPE opportunity and the solutions, problem solving business case, that's what we can do for you. So you're saying, here's what we do, and here's what we can do for you. And so when you're presenting, show this is what we can do for you. And then this is what we do. You can look at it from that perspective. And so you want to make sure that you have that generic capability statement to share with your primes, with competitors, with potential partners. Because a lot of times your competitors will eventually become your partners. So you don't want to give them the specifics. You want to say that for the government customer or the representative that you're talking to. And so what you can do is say, again, think of the AI example that I used, artificial intelligence. You can say, we have an artificial intelligence center of excellence. Within that practice, we have 10 SMEs that meet monthly, and they are devising, different types of solutions to address specific problems inherent in artificial intelligence. This is what we have come up with. It solves this problem. And for you guys, we can come in and let's say for instance, if you're dealing with Department of Labor, foreign labor certification, you can say, we know that you have a backlog in certification filings. We can use AI to help reduce that backlog by looking at applications that have common problems, meaning they didn't fill out this particular form. They didn't fill out the main primary, let's say a social security number or something like that. Or we did a check, we can do a preliminary check and check against the Social Security Administration to see if that number matches. If it doesn't, we can kick it back. So you can use AI capabilities to kind of solve a problem that that agency has. And so you want to look at developing a capability statement that goes down to that specific capability or opportunity and show how that will help them address their problems or present it as a potential innovative opportunity. And so you want to make sure that you're armed with the proper capability statements. And again, I reiterate, make sure you have a generic one that you're sharing with attendees, potential partners, primes, competitors, and then have that specific capability statement that you're sharing and presenting to the customer rep that you have the appointment with. And so now that you have your plan and you have your capability statements, let's go. So at the event, make sure you're taking notes, whether they're mental or you're actually taking notes, make sure you're doing that. And then when it's your turn to present, make sure that you're engaging that customer, that you're not, just reading from your capability statement because they're reading that as well. So you want to leave them with something to help them remember you and just get a feel for them and adjust your presentation approach accordingly. And so you want to make sure that you're allowing for interaction, that you're asking them questions and they're asking you questions. And if they're not, ask if they have questions, because you want to engage them. Because if you think about it, they're probably doing about 4 companies in an hour, 10 minutes, and then they may get 5 minutes between each one, or they may break it up. You do 2 and you get 10 minutes, you do 2 more and you get 10 minutes. But you want to keep that in mind, that this is, a long task for them as well. So you want to make sure that you make an imprint on them as you're presenting. And so keep the STAR approach in mind, where you're describing a situation, an action, and results. And so an example of that is, You can say, again, go back to the foreign labor certification example. You can say the situation was we had a backlog of, let's say, of applications for certifications for your H-1B visas. So the action that we took is that we developed a workflow using XXX project, which resulted in us reducing the backlog by 50%. We understand that, with the recent hurricanes, let's say you're talking to FEMA, that you need a tool to kind of help you address the backlog of applications for funding. We can take what we've done for this agency and do that for you, which will result in a 50% drop in your backlog. And so you want to give them a situation, tell them what action you took, give them the results, and then translate that to what it means for them. They'll remember that. And so again, you got 10 minutes, use them wisely. And then there's that name drop. So if you know that they are keen on a specific partner and you have a subcontract with them, you can kind of name drop. But the key to that is you have to know their temperature with the agency before you do that, because specific agencies have their dithers about some of the primes. And so you want to be careful that okay, this agency loves this prime. I have a relationship with them. And so that may help. And so in the end, you just want to ensure that you convey how your company supports them, can support them specifically. And you want to leave that table with them saying, okay, I know what's in it for me to do business with this company. And you want to ensure that they know how to get to you. Make sure all of that information is up to date. And then after that, you still want to engage with other companies. Use that matchmaking event to your advantage. And then once you're done with the event, you're all ready to go. You had a good time. You still have to get those action items done. Create that action plan so that you know what you have to do to actually follow through on the benefits that you'll reap from that matchmaking event. Schedule any of those follow-up meetings and update that matchmaking strategic plan accordingly. That should be one page with your expectations, your goals, all that. It should be in on that one sheet. And just say, did I meet these metrics-based outcomes, these goals that I set? Did I tie into 3 customer reps? Did I meet 5 potential partners? And then you can go in and update that accordingly. And then, of course, note any lessons learned from the event, identify and implement any opportunities for improvement, and then share that info or that intel with your team. And whether that team is an outside partner in your preferred partner group, share that information, because again, if you're sharing that information with them and they prime and you're a sub, you still win. So you want to make sure you're sharing it with the right individuals. And then execute your business development, capture, and proposal activities. If that opportunity that you were going after comes out, go after it. Update your capture plan. And then maybe adjust your business development activities based on the feedback that you've obtained from the matchmaking event. And so what are the key takeaways? So again, if it's virtual, make sure you are familiar with that software platform that they're using, because you don't want to spend your 10 minutes, trying to get your video to work, trying to get your audio to work. You want all of that up and running so that when it's your turn, you go into the room and you're in there, everything's on, and you can begin engaging with that customer rep. If it's physical, again, virtual as well, arrive early. You can do that for both and use that time to, network. And then take advantage of that matchmaking event. Remember, we talked about SCAN, that synergy, determine that. Your capture, make sure you're getting information on any opportunities that you've identified. Awareness and alignment. And then most of all, networking. You want to make sure that you are observing all of these perspectives. And just don't forget the importance of the event. And always, always, always make sure you're prepping, because again, if you don't prep, you don't benefit. Use those metrics-based outcomes and develop your capability statement. Have a generic that you share with others and have that specific, where you are delving down and showing how your capabilities will help the organization meet their mission. And use those activities that are defined in each of the phases that we talked about, the pre-event, the event, and post-event. And then make sure you're building that matchmaking strategic plan so that you have something tangible that outlines your goals for that event. And then most of all, just make sure you're learning from each event so that as you attend other events, you're not making the same mistakes or implementing, let's say, weaknesses that, that doesn't shed your company in the good light that it needs to be. And so when you're doing these matchmaking events, again, these are some of the things that you would have to consider. And I think for me, I think I am done, and I will be happy to take any questions that you all have. Yasmin?
Thank you, Jo. That was great. Really, really helpful. And those takeaways are a good reminder to sort of round up everything so you know not what to make sure you prioritize. So yes, this is your opportunity to ask Jo your questions. We do have one I see in the chat box, and they said, what do you suggest when doing what the prime indicated like us to do to participate in a proposal, but when we follow up after a matchmaking event, they don't return our messages? Yeah, we get this question a lot at the PTAC. What advice do you have, Jo?
Okay, a lot. This happens a lot. You give them your past performance. They use your social economic designations. A lot of times, if you're 8A, you can actually reach out to your contracting officer and let them know, because sometimes they have subcontracting goals defined in their subcontracting plan, and they can be held to those. And so if you have a contracting officer like with 8A, that will be to your benefit. But if you do not, you're going to have to work with the contracting office of that particular company and say, I know that you have to have subcontracting goals. We provided this, awesome past performance reference. We haven't received any work. What are you guys going to do about that? And that will be, and that's not to say that that's going to get you the work because you're working directly with the prime. But I mean, it happens all the time. And so the only avenues you have is if you're 8A and there was a subcontracting plan filed with the SBA with that proposal, you're in a better position. But if you just primed with them and you don't have that 8A, you're going to have to fight with the prime. And unfortunately, I've worked with several companies and nothing ever comes of it. So the lesson learned is I'm not teaming with you anymore. I'm not teaming with you anymore because you don't stick to what you promised. Okay. Probably not the answer you want to hear, but
okay, thank you. Yeah, it's always difficult. Communication is vital when you're doing working with other parties. And yes, I think it was Martin who asked that question, and it is, you are not alone in that situation. And don't forget that your PTAC counselor can also help you smooth some of these communications over, because they have a lot of contacts with primes and with the government. So don't forget to ask your PTAC counsellor. Somebody wants to know a little bit about what services you offer, Jo. Would you like to say a little bit about what you do?
Sure. I've been supporting the federal contracting environment as a consultant, as a federal employee, and then of course I'm with the Beltway Bandits as well. So I kind of support the entire business development life cycle, the strategic planning, business development, capture, and proposal development. Proposal development is definitely my sweet spot. And so again, focusing on those 5 Ps. Prospects, that's where you're developing your strategic plan. Pursuits, that's where you're doing your capture. Proposals, you're actually putting in that proposal. And then processes, making sure that you have the processes in place built upon ISO and CMMI, those industry standards. So I also do CMMI prep and ISO prep. I am a CMMI professional as well as an ISO 9001 internal auditor. And then when you come to the last P where you're thinking about performance, that's where you're actually performing the work and you're doing your program management. And so the scope of my services center around those 5 Ps and the BD development in alignment with the BD development lifecycle. Again, you can go to cmcgetamped.com, which is on the, let's see, on this slide here. And I think, Yasmin, you're going to be sharing this slide deck.
Yes, I am. I'm going to be sending this out shortly, and it will have information about Jo's services and obviously her contact information. So we encourage you to read through the slides and, you know, take action as always.
And my contact information is there. Shoot me a email at info@capstone, and definitely I respond to those emails.
Okay, thanks. I'm scrolling through the chat box to see if there's any pertinent questions related to what we're talking about. What if you present your company, but your company is new and has professional experience from the owner versus work experience? I'm not sure. Do you mean that only the owner has the experience and not the staff? Could you clarify that, please, Jennifer? I'll keep scrolling. A lot of them are praising this presentation, Jo, so kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. I think you said Jennifer, in terms of her not having past performance. We did a seminar on that, the past performance, and what you would do is use your expertise. And so, say for instance, like I'll use me as an example. In my lifetime, I've been a software developer, a project manager, a program manager. I've been quality. I would take all of those functions that I have acted in and use those as my core competencies and write up what I did. Now, what you're going to have to do to make yourself more stand out more is take accomplishments. So let's take quality, for example. I could say led 10 companies to attain CMMI maturity level 3 in development and services, which resulted in the growth of contracts in the amount of 300 million. I'm just throwing out numbers. So you're going to have to take those functional areas that you have actually functioned in and use those as your capabilities. Tell a story on what you've done and then give some results. So think about the situation, the action, and then the results. And that's what you can use for your past performance. Key personnel can use past performance on proposals unless they say specific to the court. If they say the organization or the corporation or the company has to have it, then you cannot use key personnel. But if they do not say that, you can use your key personnel, but the catch to that is that you're going to have to allocate yourself some hours on that project.
Okay, thanks for getting some more questions coming through. What is the format of a matchmaking event from when you first walk in to when you meet with a prime?
So it could vary. If it's the government holding it, sometimes they'll have kind of like an intro session where they'll talk about, you know, we're here, welcome, these agencies are here, and then they'll hop right into it. And so what that means is you've already went online and scheduled your meeting. So if you know that you're meeting with the Department of Labor, the Women's Bureau agency, you would be sitting in that area to meet because you know what time that you have to meet, and they kind of ring a bell. So think of speed dating. You're all sitting there, you know who you have to meet with. When the bell rings, you just go and you meet with that particular customer rep. Usually you do a quick introduction, and as I said, leave the generics. You have it on the slide. get right into the specifics with them. Use the generic, just refer back to that, but use the generic just to, to give them an overall idea of who you are. But you want to, they're sitting there and they're listening to a lot of companies. You don't want to come in and do the same spiel. You want to go in when it's time for you to sit there. You want to go there. Hi, I'm Joe Deans. Capstone is my company, and I'm here to talk about what I can do for you. I've looked at your, forecast of opportunities. I see that you have a program management office opportunity where you want that established. I've done that here, here, and here. Can you tell me how I can learn more about this opportunity? Can you give me a contact that I can talk to maybe do a demo on how we've established PMOs before, and we can do a SharePoint, show how we've built repositories? You want to use that not to just present the generics of your company. You want to go prepared and say, I know this opportunity is coming out. This is what we can do. Who's the point of contact for this? Because you're not going to get a lot of, everyone isn't going to be there, but you want to get that name and follow up. And that comes to your post-event, part of your post-event action plan. So you want to go and use your 10 minutes, present, and then follow up. So when you get there, make sure you're early, make sure you're seated in the area of the first agency that you have those 10 minutes with. And if it's virtual, make sure that you understand which room you're supposed to be in, because a lot of times they use the breakout rooms. You want to make sure you're there and you get into that room when they invite you. So it depends on each agency. Sometimes you have that when you first come in, you'll have an intro session. Other times you go in, you're going straight to your appointment. So it just depends on the agency.
Yeah, they all differ very slightly, but they're pretty much the same,
Right.
With matchmaking events, and it's always a really quite frenetic, high pressure environment. I think I always feel bad for the clients.
Yes,
I would want to be on that side of the
fast.
So
and it's loud. It's loud. I have to say that it's very loud.
Oh, and then this bell keeps ringing. Oh my God, you need a stiff drink to get through one of these. But as Joe has so well presented, if you do your preparation, if you are strategic, don't just sit in the chair and just say, hi, I want a contract with you. Make sure you come across as knowledgeable about what they offer, so they know that you've done your homework. That goes a long way, because we get a lot of feedback from when we do matchmaking events from the primes and from the agencies, and they will tell us, this is what was good about the event, this is what didn't work. A lot of clients were not prepared. They didn't offer what we're looking for. They didn't know anything about us. So they want to make sure that they
Folks said, thank you. Hello, did you go out? Let's see.
Sorry about that. I think I was disconnected briefly. Can you hear me?
I hear you just fine now.
Okay, so I don't know what happened. It logged me out and logged me back in. I apologize for that. So as I was saying, yeah, there's an event there that you might be interested in attending, and it's next week. I will be there with a booth. So that's a good practice start, because it isn't a formal sit down matchmaking event, but there are the matchmakers there and you can talk to them. Okay, so I'm trying to see, is there anything else? If a prime is struggling with a contract, what would be an effective way to get sorry, and to present your solution to their problem. Oh, sorry, Dottie is asking me again, what is the event? And I can post it again. It's called Meet the Primes, and it's in Timonium, which is sort of north of Towson, and it's next week if anybody's interested in going to that event. Sorry, I was in the middle of reading out another question. Okay, yeah. So if a prime is struggling with a current contract, what would be an effective way to present your solution to their problem?
Mm-hmm. So with these, when you're working with the prime, they have a PM, and then there's someone at the corporate level that's over that PM. So you want to call a meeting between that PM and whoever that corporate rep, whether that's an account manager, director of operations, you want to call those two together. And then, as we talked about, describe that situation. Talk about the actions that they are currently taking that are not working. And then talk about the actions that you would take. And when you do that, include, we would need to add this many resources, have some type of ref order of magnitude of ROM with that. So when you talk about the actions that you're going to take, lay them out, but then have a ROM. Now, the caveat to that, and then of course, talk about the results that you expect. You know, if they're not doing well, what was the problem? And then if they implement, this is what they're doing, the actions they're taking when they're doing theirs, these are the actions that you would take if they would provide the opportunity for you to do the solution with these resources, and these will be the results. Now, as I was saying, the caveat to that is that be careful of how much information you divulge, because they may steal it and implement your idea on their end. So you just got to know in terms of the prime who you're talking to, and then your relationship with them. But take that SAR approach where you're describing the situation, the actions that they're taking that are not working, the actions that you would take that would work, and then the results, and provide a ROM to show, you know, if you guys were to implement, these are the resources that you would have to add to my subcontract in order for me to do this.
Okay, well, thank you for that. And I think that's it. So I'd like to thank Joe so much for this great presentation. I've got a feeling this is going to rack up a lot of views on our YouTube channel. And we will we will be scheduling Joe again for 2023 for further classes, because she's so great at what she does. And we like to thank you. Yeah, no, you are. You're great. A lot of people have the knowledge but don't know how to teach. You have both, so that's really, really a good thing for our clients. I'd like to, as usual, thank you to our PTAC clients for being engaging, asking great questions, and of course, don't forget, your PTAC counselor is always a phone call or an email away to assist you and help you to prepare for matchmaking events. So don't feel that you are on your own. You're not. You may not be able to help you right away because we're always very busy, but we can definitely help you if you give us a bit of notice. And I've posted a link to our YouTube channel in the chat box. We have a ton of recordings on there. So if you ever want to brush up on your government contracting skills, feel free to while away the hours when you can't sleep watching our videos. So thanks again, everybody. Thank you so much, Joe. And we'll see you again at a future Maryland PTAC event. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.